Ow, buddy.
Yes.
Do you want to become idols?
No.
Okay, well that's. Oof.
I want to support idols.
Okay, we can do that. We can do that instead. But
I-
unfortunately, that's not what our episode is named today.
Nope, it's not.
It's called Let's Start Becoming Idols. Okay, it's not Let's Start Supporting Idols.
Yeah, but I'd be a bad idol.
It's not true.
I'd be a bad idol.
We're going to figure that all out today here on, maybe not all of that, but some of that here on Jared and I What to Love Live, episode number 2. I'm Jared, that is Doc Allen Ladium.
Hello.
And we are discussing season 1, episode number 2, entitled Let's Start Becoming Idols! Exclamation point. So let's start.
Yep.
By that I mean 3 of them are going to start.
Yes. Well, and 3.5-ish.
Yeah, that's fair. So the second years they begin the episode by asking for permission to use the auditorium so they can hold a show. And Ellie's like, "What? Why? That's weird." Okay. I mean, I guess I can't really stop you because like you're not. You can use it even if you're not a club. So I guess I'm kind of tied here. Okay, whatever. Just go do your weird thing.
Go be idols, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Umi like chastises Honoka afterwards. It's like, we could have got that much easier if you didn't mention the idol stuff, you dummy. Honoka's like, They realize at one point they don't have a name yet for their group, and Honoka comes up with the great idea of, let's just put a box out and make people suggest names for us, and we'll just pick out a name.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think at this point the whole like Bodie McBoatface thing had happened before, but like,
I mean, this was 2013.
Usually it's a bad idea to ask people to name your things.
Mm-hmm.
I am still hoping that one day I will get to see the rejects of what people wrote in for names for the rooms that we renamed in the library last month.
We don't really get any like weird suggestion names from the group.
Yeah.
It's more just like Honoka puts out this box like, all right, let's do this. And everyone's like, okay, sure. Whatever.
Yeah, we don't get the 6 mermaids.
Nothing weird like that. So they decided they're going to start practicing for their live and everything because obviously that's the thing they should do.
They should do that, yes.
And they're like, okay, well, we got to practice everything. What's the song we're going to practice? And they're like,
we don't have a song.
We should probably get a song first, you think?
Like at one point they say something like, oh, I guess we could like perform something that somebody else has already done, but they don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Which is an interesting tidbit that they could have done. They also have to figure out where they're going to practice. So they scour the campus to try and figure out, okay, where are we going? You see just like random clubs just doing stuff. Like there's the basketball club, the baseball club, random clubs in the gymnasium. So like all of the places are filled. They can't get into a classroom because they're not recognized as a club yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the only place that they can really practice is the roof. And that's where they will do their practices. Which puts them in a pickle if weather does things.
Yep.
They can't practice if it's raining.
But we don't get to that until later.
Yes, that will actually become a thing. So of course, like we mentioned, they have to figure out how to come up with a song. So they try and figure out who amongst them would be the best to write lyrics, and they nominate Umi to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Honoka is bad at writing, and Kotori's just like, eh. Honestly, throughout like these first couple of episodes, again, it's like Umi's just Mio.
Yeah,
like, that's just her character. She's
she
just
really
Mio
is.
from K-On!
She is Mio. Like in many ways, she's Mio.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So she agrees to do the lyrics, but also is like, hey, we need to train and get in shape, or else we're gonna really look bad up there. So they begin like building up, doing cardio, getting their stamina up by running up the stairs.
Time to run upstairs.
The shrine, which is obviously a very famous place to be.
Never heard.
Yeah, they run into Nozomi there, who's like working as the shrine maiden. And they're like, "Oh, you work as a shrine maiden," and she's like, "You should pray for success here at the shrine."
Since you're using
Thumbs
the
up.
stairs.
Yeah. So that this begins their training regimen. Honoka decides that since they also need to find someone to compose music for them, she's going to find the pianist that she saw in the first episode and try and convince her again to make music for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they bring Maki up to like the roof and like, "Hey, you want to write music for us?" And she's like, "No, not really. I'm not interested in this. Why would I want to do this?" So she like runs away, and then like Honoka's just like, "Oh dang, I had to come up with a better idea to convince her." At one point, Ellie yells at them and is like, "Hey, if you guys mess this up, you're gonna damage the school's reputation. Don't do that. That would be a real jerk move."
Since we're already facing closure.
Exactly. Some of Honoka's classmates and friends in her class decide, hey, if you guys need help for your live show, we can do lights and canvas the area and do all sorts of like menial tasks if you guys need to do that. And she's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you would do this. This is amazing."
Which when they showed up, I was like, "Hey, I know them."
Exactly. You've seen them in a School Idol Festival.
I have. There's
as the support cards. Yep. She also checks the name box and finds that there has been a slip put in the box, and the slip says
Moose.
Yeah.
Like the stuff you put in your hair?
Exactly, Moose. It is the character for Mew with an apostrophe S, aka Muse. And they're like, "How do you read this, Moose?" I'm like, "No, Muse." I think Umi's the one who's like, "Hey, this is what muses are." And they're like, "Oh. Well, I guess we'll just use this then." And that's that. That's how they come up with the name.
Yep.
But who put it in the box?
Da-ba-bum.
That's the real question. So you don't know this yet.
No.
Do you have any inklings on who put the name in the box?
I am going to make a. Whoa. I'm going to make a guess based on what I know of Sunshine.
Okay.
That it's one of the third years.
Okay. Do you have an inkling as to who?
I could be wrong on this. I've been known to be wrong. But I'm gonna think it's Boob Grabber.
Nozomi.
Yes. Because she seems like she's like quietly supportive of them with the whole like, hey, you're using the shrine. Why don't you pray for success and all that kind of stuff? Like, and she's never like really against them. Not that like Ellie is against them, but she's never like saying anything directly negative towards them.
She plays like the devil's advocate for Ellie whenever they come in.
Yeah. So I'm going to think it's her because I don't think that it's Ellie and I don't think it's Nico, but I do think it's a third year.
Okay.
So that's my guess.
We will find out about that eventually. We also forgot that like in the very first scene, like once the second years leave, there's this weird scene where like Nozomi and Ellie are like talking and Nozomi opens the window and like a huge gust of wind blows through and it blows her tarot cards.
Yeah.
And one of them like sticks to the wall. And they're like, "You have to believe in the cards."
Yeah, that was such a weird scene. I don't know what that was about.
I think it was mostly just to introduce that like Nozomi does tarot stuff, but just also a weird way to introduce that.
It is a very weird way. But that also would support my idea that it's her because she is like into weird stuff. And who else would know the character of Mew?
Well, again, we will find out at some point. I don't know if it's this season. I would assume it's this season, but I don't remember specifically. So getting back to the episode at hand.
Yes.
Honoka again goes after Maki. She finds her after school because she gets a tip from Hanayo and Rin about where she's at.
Rin!
And she's like, hey, you want to write the lyrics for, you want to compose a song for us? And he's like, no, I don't. I only listen to classical, jazz. Pop music is lame for losers. And Honoka's like, okay, hey, can you do push-ups? And Maki's like, yeah, I can do push-ups. Here, let me do some push-ups for you. And then Honoka's like, okay, yeah, you could do some push-ups. Try smiling while you do those push-ups. And Maki's like, okay.
It has this like tougher, terrible face. Like, yeah. Her grin is very creepy.
And Honoka's like, yeah, so you see, it's not that easy to be an idol, huh?
Which I love that her idea of like, hey, an idol is doing push-ups while smiling.
I mean, it works as like the idea of you're doing strenuous activities, but also have to look like you're very you have to look like it's just fine, yeah. So Honoka gives Maki the lyrics that Umi wrote. It's like, hey, read over these, see what you think. You know, if you decide afterwards, hey, I don't want to do this, that's fine. I will stop bugging you, and that's it. But like, if you just want to read them and see what we think, you know, that's A-okay. So she does that, and then Maki at one point is going to see them when they're doing their morning practice, and then gets accosted by Nozomi.
No, she gets assault. I mean, that is straight up assault.
True.
I don't like that. That is not cute at all.
Nozomi's like, hey, why don't you let them do their thing? Ha ha ha. Goodbye.
Well, and also tells her, like, oh, you still have some growing to do. I'm like, yeah. You gross.
So, and then eventually at the end of the episode, Honoka gets a CD, and her sister's like, hey, did you order something? There's a CD here, but there's no address or return anything on here. It's just addressed to Muse. And Honoka's like, I can't believe it. So she gathers Kotori and Umi together, and they listen to the song that Maki wrote, which is Start Dash, but it's Maki's the only person singing on it, just to like give them an idea of what it would be like. And they're like, oh my god.
And then they get like one vote.
They get a vote on the idol ranking site, which just says Maki's the person who anonymously voted. How dare they?
Well, they just broke her and
I know, how dare they expose her like this. Anonymity.
Thank you. I am always bad at saying that word.
And that's how we wrap up our episode. They have their own song now. They are ready to, or I guess they're hopefully ready for their first live. Which, speaking of, that's the name of the episode next time.
Ba-ba-bum.
That's what we'll be talking about next time. Season 1, episode number 3. It's called First Live. But if you'd like more from us, go to seasonlanguagecheckup.com or sac.cool. That's where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts like Season Language Checkup and Season Language Checkup OVA. And you can get columns and reviews on the site as well. If you want more from Anladium, go to anladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. And you can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/animecheckup. So join us next time as we see what happens at Muse's First Live.